Welcome to Gray Overload. I'm Anthony, and this is coming to the end of the Microsoft Activision saga, it seems like. Now, while it does not look like it will make the July 18th deadline between Activision and Microsoft Blizzard King, it seems like they will file or get an extension, agree upon an extension, because it's a $3 billion Microsoft does pay Activision Blizzard if they decide to walk away. Now, little quick side note, it does look like Wall Street is still backing this just on, what's out there. So it does seem like this will still kind of, yes, they want to agree to the extension to keep on moving it forward. But getting back into kind of the Blizzard, Microsoft Activision Blizzard delay is CMA. Right here in the US, I think there's still something to come in August from the FTC. We've already seen the courts kind of, because they had a preliminary injunction rule or opinion in favor of Microsoft, and that is, progressing. It seems like it's just going to go over here in the United States. Now, the last big hurdle was the UK. All these governments wait till the last minute, right? They've had 18 months plus to take a look at this, it seems like, and yeah, they just take forever. But you think that they'd have, disapprove whatever, and they just block it or whatever. But now they're agreeing. They have an extension. The CMA said there was a judge over in the UK saying that there's another 6 weeks that they will work out the deal. CMA even came out and said that they're going to work out a deal. It sounds like, some of their cloud stuff has to be done over there. I think that the CMA is more worried about the cloud side of things than they are, what Sony was really worried about or anybody else. And while cloud gaming may be a thing and people may use it, I don't think that it is a big of an issue as other things. But, that's that's the government for you and what they think. So CMA is going through and trying to figure that out, and with Microsoft, and I think that this is all going to be extended. I was reading WCCF Tech and other places. Bloomberg, I think, had it as well. Um, that this is another just step. The CMA in this deal is just moving this along, right, slowly, and they announced the appeal is already paused. So the CMA is, I guess, anticipating with Microsoft that there will be a resolution so that they pause this appeal, because, maybe working this out that way is a little bit easier than dragging it out through the courts. So we'll see how this all goes with the CMA, and see when this deal actually closes. So we can probably say about 6 weeks we will get more information here and there. We shall see. I'll update you as it goes, but it looks like this deal is going through. um, Hopefully we get more games out of this. But one thing that is interesting, right, is was going through the deal, and Call of Duty will be continuing to be released on PlayStation consoles after this. Yeah, Microsoft said they're willing to have a 10-year deal, and Sony confirmed that the deal of Call of Duty is valid for 10 years, just like the one Microsoft has signed with Nintendo. So that means we should see more. Is this the updated link? Yeah, we should see this continue to be out there. And like I said in my last video, I didn't think this would make sense to just, hey, let's get rid of Call of Duty after 10 years. I think they're going to actually keep on releasing these games on Sony. I I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to get like an Xbox Game Pass on the Sony system as well. I don't know how that would work, or incorporate some of Microsoft's games into Sony's like subscription side thing. We'll see, because Microsoft would like to take a cut of that back, right? And Microsoft, it's got to make up $70 billion from a deal. A lot of cash there that they got to make up. And to me, just having them, cut some of the stuff off is not going to make them up in Xbox sales or even PC OS, licensing and everything there. I just don't see that happening. And maybe they can do it through Game Pass. Maybe that they can put, Game Pass on like Nintendo, and maybe Sony comes around and says, "Hey, there's a Game Pass there." Let's just throw this out there. Not going to say this is going to happen, but let's say Microsoft goes through and says, "Hey, why don't you put Game Pass on your Sony PlayStation? We will then, you make your games compatible as well." And I'm guessing Xbox Game Pass would have to do this from a place of leverage, would have to have more games, more stuff in there, and be growing at a good clip for Sony to say, okay, um, and then to say, why don't you put our games, your Sony, whatever. I can't remember what their collection of games is called, but Sony put their Game Pass equivalent on the Xbox, and it's cross-platform or even PC, right? And those games get to be played across both. That would be something interesting to see. One, it would give them access to each other's items, which I think that they both would like, and it makes your consoles more well-rounded and to be more entrenched the user base. I got an Xbox right now. I've used, Sony in the past. I've used Nintendo when I've, gone over to friends, played games, right? It doesn't matter too much to me. I like to actually have both and be able to try them both out, but, there's a cost that comes involved. So this is my thoughts in there. And then let's just go over and touch on this before we go here. And I give my final thoughts on everything here is that Xbox Gold is shifting into Game Pass Core soon. And, this story, let me just look this up here. Let's switch over. So this is kind of interesting because I think that um, there is an interesting thing coming on here with the transition of where Microsoft's going. Now, I expected them to get this Xbox Core stuff or Xbox Live Gold kind of moved on from that from a while ago. But now we are going and we are seeing that this is, moving slowly, and it took years. It took years for Microsoft. I was a Gold subscriber for a while. I converted that over to Game Pass, and since that's elapsed, I have not been back on. Um, but this is something that was probably a long time coming. I don't get why Microsoft had everything there, and now I got the right web page here, so let's jump back over. And so you're introducing Xbox Game Pass Core coming this September. So by introducing Game Pass Core launching in September, it's the evolution of Game Pass Live. Game Pass Core will give players access to our advanced multiplayer network, collections of over 25 games around the world, and exclusive members, and $10 a month or $60 a year. I do not like. I mean, that's a pretty good discount if you buy it per year. I do not like that they have, multiplayer stuff behind a paywall, but that's the way it is, and maybe that's why I don't play multiplayer stuff on my Xbox. I just play single player stuff on my Xbox. That could explain a few things. For over 20 years, people have been playing over Xbox Live, and then they had Game Pass here coming, and now it's going to be Game Pass Core, which makes more sense to have this all one branded underneath the same thing and bringing everything together. Here is the breakdown. So this is the game library, and the game library is going to have 25 titles, and I bet you that these 25 titles will change out. And if the Activision Blizzard deal kind of comes to fruition and finally closes, that there's probably going to be a game or two of there as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Call of Duty is in there at some point just to get it. But here are the differences. So you have Core, which is $10. You have Console, which is $11 a month. Then you have PC, which is $10, and you have Ultimate, which is $17 a month. And I bet you that there's discounts if you buy per year. And so the Core only has online multiplayer, 25 console games, and members deals and discounts. Console, you get hundreds of games, new games on day one, and members deals and discounts. You probably also get the online multiplayer because this is probably in all of them. It's called Core for that reason. And then you have PC, which is just on the um, PC. You get all the games, and then EA Play membership, and then Ultimate is you also get the EA Play membership. So in order to play EA Play membership, you either need the PC or Ultimate, and then you get access to all the EA games. So going off of this, right? You got EA Play membership already. EA has done their kind of, hey, access to all their games. Why don't Sony or somebody do that, or vice versa, onto the other consoles? And that's kind of like what these 10-year deals are, getting back to that a little bit here. But current Xbox Gold members will automatically become Game Pass Core, and Games with Gold will come to an end September 1st. Okay, that was a nice little program, but I think we've evolved past that, which, I'm sure that there's some people out there that didn't like that. It was just having all these got confusing, and I guess since I stopped subscribing, I didn't care as much either. I didn't feel like paying. I don't play enough games every single night. I work full time, got kids, and try to get some content out to you guys as often as possible. So I don't have all the time in the world to play games, and I like to do other development, design stuff. I'm a coder, so I like to do some of that stuff as well. So in my spare time outside of work. Uh, But players can access Xbox One games they previously redeemed through Games with Gold if they remain a Game Pass Core or Game Pass Ultimate member. I don't know if you stop subscribing and go back to it, if those are there. I guess that's one thing I could actually try once this happens. I could pay for like a month or two. Um, Regardless of subscription status, any Xbox 360 titles redeemed with Game Pass in the past will be kept with the player's library. Oh, there you go. There's the 360 games. I don't know about Xbox One games, so I guess I could try that. I don't know if I have any Xbox One games on my Xbox Gold when I had it, but they said thank you at the end, so that is kind of where it's going. But Xbox Game Wire, someplace to stay on there as whoops to be able to go through, and someplace that if you're interested in these huge libraries, or you want the core, or now if you want to be able to play online multiplayer, like it said, these are the costs that you're going to have to incur to be able to do that. $60 is the same price per year, if I recall, of Xbox Gold, so you have that. But yeah, the one thing about all this, right, you have the Xbox Core that this is going through, the Activision deal that is delayed, right? And Microsoft and Activision technically can't work on anything until that deal closes. So all this stuff is, what they want to do with it that can't happen. So the longer story is, let's say Microsoft has been really on trying to drive the Xbox Game Pass numbers, right? They have been telling you how many users of Xbox Game Pass there are every single quarter. It's not so much consoles sold, it's not so much any of that. They are telling the metrics on their financials based upon this. Well, if you delay this by 6 weeks or whatever it is, I'm sure Microsoft is going to try to kind of get the CMA degree earlier so they can close this earlier, closer to this July 18th deadline rather than 6 weeks down the road. But who knows? And because if they can get it closed, they can start working on putting this into Game Pass for the holiday season. And we're getting close to around the time. I'm sure it's not instant that they can turn it on, but they have to start getting everything in there, even releasing it and helping out other teams, like they had GeForce Experience or GeForce Now. They had Nintendo, all going to be part of these programs, getting Call of Duty, everything like that. I'm sure that they want to get these games into Game Pass too, and the longer you delay this with CMA, the longer it's going to be before it's actually in there, and well, that is less money or less subscribers they can get into Game Pass for their financials to show that this is starting to pay off already. That's just something that I'm thinking about as well. I've said my piece in other videos about what I think about this merger, and I could do it in this one, but I don't think it really makes much sense. I think that we're getting close to the closing, and no matter how much I say that they should have went down a different route to block it, is not going to change it at this point, which is it's unfortunate. I really do hope that Microsoft will put a focus on getting games out for gamers. Uh, you know, I don't play every type of game, but when I do play, I want to play a good game. And I have friends that play a lot more games than I do, and they play a certain type of game, first-person shooters, right? Um, they like first-person games, open world, and if we can have more game content out for every type of gamer out there that wants to play a different type of game, I think that this could be really successful for the gaming market. Microsoft is saying that, they are going to, it's going to help them, but if your current studios aren't coming out with games with a regular clip, I don't have much faith in it, and that's where I kind of stand on this. But let me know what your thoughts are. Everything from the Xbox Gold going away to Activision to Call of Duty on PlayStation. Where do you think it's going to go? I like to hear your comments below. And until next time, thank you so much for supporting the channel, helping it grow, liking, subscribing, sharing, hitting the bell icon, all that fun stuff. And God bless.